Good morning, class. My given name is Dancy and my surname is Simon. You can address me as Miss Simon. I'm from Western Islands. Now I'll let my colleague to introduce herself to you before we proceed on to our today's presentation.
Thank you, Mrs. Simon. My given name is Mary. My surname is John. So you can address me Mrs. John. I'm from Chiwaka. So I'll hand it over to my colleague to take the introduction part of our topic. Thank you.
Okay, our topic for today is going to be on neglecting parenting style. The short overview of the topic here is Parent neglect, parent neglect in the context of education itself is a complex issue that can deeply impact a child's academic journey and overall development. Recognizing these patterns can provide a foundation for interventions and emphasizing the needs for the supportive environment where parents engage meaningfully with their children's education, collaboratively to address the mitigate and effects of neglect, fostering the better educational outcomes for the children. Now I'll hand it over to my colleague to introduce to you our topic, what is parent neglecting style.
Okay. Parents neglecting style or parents neglecting style refers to as a neglectful or unloved parenting. This style categorized by lack of responsiveness to a child's needs. This parenting style can lead to various negative outcomes to children as it provides minimal emotional support, supervision, or guidance. Moving on to next topic.
There are 7 points to be discussed in our presentation here. The first point we have is lack of emotional support. The parents may show little interest to their children's emotional or psychological well-being. They might be indifferent to the child's feeling or fail to engaging in the meaningful conversations. Like for example, parent might consistently ignore a child's attempt to share their feelings or needs, but they might fail to provide comfort or validations during difficult times. This can lead to child's feeling unheard or unloved and sometimes unsupported, potentially their emotional development and well-being. The next point will be discussed by my colleague here.
Okay, our second point is we'll be discussing insufficient supervision. Insufficient supervision it refers to neglectful parents may not monitor their children activities or whereabouts, learning to a lack of structure and guidance in the child lives. For example, lack of foresight in school academic. Parents may not ensure that their children attend school regularly, or for instance, if a child frequently misses school days without any effort from the parents to understand the reasons or address the situation. This reflects a neglectful attitude towards the child education needs. Moving on to our third point.
Our third point for parent neglecting style here is poor communication. Poor communication, it means there may be minimal communication between the parent and the child sometimes, which result in disconnect in understanding the child's need, like desires and the challenges they might face in their education journey. Like for example, limited support for learning. Parents may not prioritize education or learning at home, fail to create an environment conducive for the student or child to study, and children may not have a quiet place to work or do their homeworks and assignments. And sometimes parents might not also take the time to help with the school projects and readings. Moving on to the fourth point of the discussion.
Our fourth point is lower expectation. Lower expectation refers to parents may not set or support expectation for their children's behavior and responsibilities, which can delay child development of self-discipline. For example, a lack of academic support. Now, parents may not provide necessary resources or the encouragement for their children's education, assuming that school is not important. For instance, a parent who does not engage with the child homework or show interest in the progress may signal to the child that education is not a priority. Moving on to our fifth point.
Our fifth point of the discussion says failure to provide basic needs. While neglect may not always mean a lack of physical needs, it also involves a failure to ensure appropriate healthcare, nutrition, or safety measures for the child. Like, for example, lack of school supplies. Sometimes when parents saw a child worn out or insufficient, and sometimes incomplete or completely absent in school supplies compared to other children's well-stocked bags. This could include a torn book, a single broken pencils and biros, and an empty lunch box or no lunch given to a child, like bus fees or lunch money. This shows a parent failure to provide the basic needs for children to go for school. The next point, number 6 point.
Our number 6 point is on disinterest in child life. Disinterest in child refers to neglectful parents often does not engaging in the child activities of interests, leading to feelings of isolated or isolation or unimportancy in the child. For example, the chairs and the desks. Our classrooms end with a child empty desk. The child empty desk. The supply is present occupied in this something unrelated like phone, TV, and etc. The focus is on the empty desk and chairs, symbolizing the parents' absence and the lacks of concern about the child attendance. The background is there to emphasize the parents' disinterest. Moving on to our next point, 7.
Our last point of parent neglecting style or neglecting children going to school is avoidance of responsibility. Sometimes parents may avoid taking responsibility for their role in guiding and fostering their child's development. For example, the unread report card. A school report card lies crumpled and unopened on a clustered kitchen sometimes, and other mails and junk mails are scattered all around in the house, suggesting it being ignored amongst the others. The background might supply how a parent distracted with something else. This illustrates neglecting important tasks for reviewing the child's academic process. Now I'll let my friend to conclude our presentation for neglecting parents' time.
Moving on to our conclusion, the sequences of neglectful parenting can be significant, potentially leading to issues such as lower self-esteem, behavior problems, academic struggle, and difficulties in forming healthy relations. It is important to recognize this pattern and seek support or intervention when necessary. This brings to the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for participation in the class. This is the end of our presentation, or how parents neglect the students or their children for going to school. Thank you.